everyone, Kieran over Sapien from Filmstorm Studios bringing you part 4 of our GTA third-person tutorial series. And what we're going to do today is fix a couple of bugs that were present in the last build that we just finished. And we're also going to start working on that little parkour system. So, if we press play, a couple of the users saw that if you just tapped one of the direction buttons after you finished part 3, he would get stuck in an infinite loop. And that was just because we forgot to turn off one little thing in the idle to walk mode, which is this set animator float, because he shouldn't be moving when he's idle. So if you turn that off, you'll notice now I'm tapping, and until you actually hold it, that's when he'll go in the direction. And you can actually adjust the time frame that it takes him to move based off this. Where is it? Down here, the actual input magnitude. So if you lower that to like 0.1, you'll see he'll start moving. But I recommend keeping it back on around 0.8 because that will give you the best blend time for the movement. All right, look at that. That's great. So what we're going to do now is let's start to build our the parkour system. So let's bring this into the middle. We'll just create a cube. Lovely. And all we're going to do for this is we're going to create a tag. Let's just make it like that. And I might even create a new folder. And we'll call this materials, just so we can create a couple of materials inside. And we'll call this gray. And gray is applied to that, and let's just make this a darker color so that way when we're in the game we'll be able to see it. So what we're going to do is we want to create a simple parkour system so that when you're pressing space, he's going to detect what object's in front of him and play an animation accordingly. So let's do that. Let's just scale it down so he's going to vault that. And we're going to create a new tag. And let's call this one, we're going to call this low volt. Wonderful. And then let's apply that to the cube. So then all we need to do is create a system that says, hey, when you're pressing space, he's going to say, okay, that's a low volt, and I'm going to volt into that. Alrighty, now we're just going to have to create a new FSM for our player. And this is going to basically handle all the object climbing detection and everything. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to expand our player model, and we're going to create an empty object. And this is going to be the position in which the rays are cast forward to detect an object. So let's just bring it forward, and we just need to see what his the actual capsule area is, because we don't want that this to be inside. So let's just move forward a little bit more, and that should be a good height to see that, and that's definitely out of that. And what we're going to call this is, let's just come up to here, and we're going to call this the object climb raycast. Wonderful. And now let's create a component and call this FSM. And we're going to call this the same thing. We're going to call this object climb raycast. Too easy. Now let's get started building our little tree. First we're going to call this the idle wait for input, because we don't want him to just automatically start raycasting, and as soon as he touches an object he'll start flipping over. That would just be really annoying. So let's get a get button down. Actually we're gonna, wrong one. We're gonna actually just get the button, and we're gonna get the button which is jump, and we're going to create a new variable. We're going to call this button pressed, and we're going to test the bool. We're going to test if the button was pressed, and if that is true, we're going to create an event, and that event is going to be button is pressed, going to say that's true, create a new transition, and let's also create a couple of other things. We're going to do that every frame as well, make sure that's selected. We're going to set the Fsf Float, and we're going to set a specific object, and we're actually going to set our player model, the movement, and the smooth look at speed, we're going to set that to 7. And we're also going to set FSM game object, and we're going to create, we're actually going to specify this one, and we're going to grab our player model, movement, and our smooth look at object, and we're going to set that to the compass arrow. So let's grab our compass arrow, drop that in, and we're also going to set the game object. We're going to set the hit object, which is basically what we're going to be hitting, and we need to set that to none because this is the idle, so we don't want any object to be in that. And we're also going to set another one, which will be slide under. So when we set up the slide under, we'll have the variable already set up here. Alrighty, so that's all of that for this one. And now we just need to create a new state, and we're just going to call this one verify. So basically, sometimes when it's happening really quickly and the player presses the button, we need to actually just have an individual state to reset that game object again. So we're going to call this set game object, and we're just going to set the hit object to none again, as well as the slide under hit. This is just to verify that it is actually none, like the game object is nothing in there. Alright, so now once we have hit something, or once the players put something, we need to figure out what the player has hit. So let's call this decide which anim. So decide which animation is going to play. And we're going to put finished back here, because obviously if it's finished, we're going to go back. And first things first, we need to get the button again. We want to get jump, and we're going to store this in button pressed, and we're going to do a bool test for the button pressed, and if it is false, we're going to finish every frame. And we're also going to create a raycast. So raycast, and our raycast, we actually want to probably get, did we install the ecosystem? No, we're going to want to download that ecosystem. Alrighty, to actually make it easier, I'm going to put this on the website, the Raycast 2, just so it's easier for you to download and just put into your file. And once you've put that in, all you need to do is then you'll see Raycast 2, and we'll just bring that guy in there. So that is too easy. Now what we're going to do is the direction we're going to set to 1, because this is going to shoot the ray forward along that blue line. And our distance is going to be 0.9. And if we hit an object, we're going to store the hit object. Excellent. So that's pretty much everything that we need right now for that. Now we just need to game object compare. So we need to figure out what the hit object is. So game object compare tag. That's what we want. And that's going to compare that tag to the one we just set up. So if the game object, the hit object, hits the low volt, then we're going to event, we're going to say to low volt. Excellent. So now let's create that event. Let's put a new thing. We're going to hook that up into there. And if that low volt is true, we're going to say to low volt. And let's call this guy low volt. Whoop. low vault. Wonderful. So now all we're going to do is we're basically just going to set the animation. So we need to create, put that animation into the animator. So I'm going to give you the folder on our website for Parkour, and that's going to have a couple of animations in there. And we're going to put this jumping one in. And this jumping one, we might actually just need to quickly set that to humanoid, copy from other avatar, and put a Watchdog's avatar in, if you're using the free model from the site. And then you'll see that we've got this sweet animation where he's running and jumping. And I think we might also need to, if we come back to here, into here, we might just bake those in. Yes, okay, so then just click those two, and that should be good. Wonderful. And now we're just going to make that transition back to either walking or jumping. Actually, we're gonna, not walking, we're gonna put it on to start walking. So if input magnitude is less than 0.1, it should be good. And if this is, what are we doing? Is walk mode, that should be good. And if input magnitude is greater than 0.1 and is in walk mode, that should be good. And we want exit time, so he does the jump, and we want people to be able to access that from around here, so they should have some input there. That should be good. And I'm just going to turn off that lower one, so if it takes a bit longer, he'll stop moving. Alright, so that should be good for that. Let's save that. Let's jump back to the scene view. Actually, I'll keep it there so I can see. And I might rename this animation to low volt, so that way we know what's happening. Let me just get rid of that. Alright, let's expand this. Let's bring this guy up. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to animator crossfade. Animator crossfade. And now we want to select that player model that has our animator on it. And we're going to say low volt, because that's what that animation is. And we're going to say 0.1. Now we want to set the Fsf Float, because that Fsf Float is, we're going to say the player can't actually move while he's jumping, so it doesn't, the player doesn't feel really floppy, and it's really hard to control the player. So what we're going to do is we're going to say set smooth lookout speed to 0, and we're going to set the FSM game object, this one, and we're going to set, I think it's the player model, and to the movement base, and the variable, the smooth lookout object, we're going to set that to none. And for the falling, we'll probably put a falling detector in here to say don't worry about if we're falling, but we're just playing an animation right now, but we'll do that in a little bit. And we're also going to set property. Actually, we know we need to drag that in. So if you click lock, we need to turn off the player's collision just for a moment. I think it's the character controller. We want to set property, and we want to set if it is enabled, and right now we don't want it to be enabled. Excellent. And then what we want to do is we want to say, okay, that's finished. Let's create a new state, and we're going to call this wait for finish. So basically we want to wait, and the normal time you want to wait for, I just want a normal wait command. What's going on? Get rid of that. The normal wait time we will want to wait is 1.2 seconds. We want to finish that one and then let's create a finished on that, and then let's say return to idle, ideally, and now let's go to player. Actually, no, sorry, send event. So this, we can probably just turn this off right now, but this is where we're going to send the falling event. So let me just, I'll put that in here, just so it's like a memory, so that way we know we have to get back to this to put that in. Then let me just say in the description, need to put falling state send event. And let me just copy and paste this, and that's a good way just to remind yourself that you need to go back and put that in, and that will make that easier. And then all we need to do, let's just copy this guy, paste it in. That's the player set property, and we want to re-enable that. And then all we need to do is come down and hook that back into there. So right now we should have a very simple one animation thing for that low, volt. So let's just give it a run through and see what's gonna happen. Let's just chuck this down here and jump back here. So let's see if this is gonna work. All right, so I'm pressing space just to start off with, and that's working fine. So let's walk up to it. I'm holding space. All right, that looks good. He's just going to move through it. All right, so we probably need to fix that up. All right, that's good that he's that's doing that. Okay, what we might do is actually change the set property to the wait to finish, and let's just disable that. Okay, so it's just a bit of fine tuning. Let me bring this back. Let's see. Okay, let's bring it forward. It's one way or the other. I can't remember which way it was. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now let me just bring this down. So it's just about making your static objects fit the situation, and then you can build your other ones around it. That's too low now. Alright. Okay. So that is that one. Now what actually I might do, let me just test this, having it off just entirely. That might actually fix the problem. Okay, so that's going to actually stop him in front of the wall. Alright, so what we need to do is we'll probably need to have it enabled, and have this wait. Let's wait for let's have it wait for maybe 0.3, and then finish. Turn that off. And then we want to unenable it. So actually let's scroll down. We want to make, so that's enabled. We want to then make it wait a little bit longer and then go in. So it's going to be enabled, it won't be enabled, and that should stop his legs from moving. Okay, that's looking a bit better. Alright, let's move it a little bit higher. Okay. Okay, so after some poking around, it was actually because I ticked the wrong box in our animation. What we should have done is see how if you had this ticked, it actually sticks to the ground, and that root motion actually stops the character capsule from moving. So if you untick that, we'll click apply. Let's jump back to our object raycast. Let's just get rid of all of the player set properties for now. So realize that we only really need that for when we're doing the jumping and the climbing on the wall. So let's just have a look at this now. It should be better. Okay, that's heaps better. Okay, so that fixed it. I was like, why isn't that performing well? So now you know. So now we can actually just fix it a little bit. We might need to lower that a tiny bit. And let's bring him in. Okay, that's perfect, and we're getting good arm placement as well. Alright, and then you can really adapt this to all your different kind of things, and basically you can actually detect it from either way. You notice how we went from either side, and if we go from this way, okay, let's come in here. Oh, I think I missed it. Yeah. Okay, let's come in there. There we go. So you can come from that way, but say you didn't want a player to be able to actually interact with that. Let's just create a cube. And when you're creating your prefabs for your game developers to go and put in, let's put that there, okay, and then put that as a parent underneath it, and put that on either side. And then if you turn off the mesh renderer, and then we come to over here, and then say we try and shoot the raycast into here, it's not going to let us do it because that's it's untagged, and our event can't actually play. So if you can't come from this side, it's still gonna work. So that way you can prevent players from accessing it from the wrong angles. But you notice how that is still quite far out from when we were testing before, so we can really just bring that in. Let's bring that back in close to him, and that should fix a lot of the problems. Alright, so that's been this part 4 of our GTA third-person tutorial series. In our next tutorial, we're actually going to implement the running animations, and basically it's just copying and pasting everything from the player model. Let's unlock that and let's jump in here. So basically we're just going to recreate this tree for a walking, for the running animations. So that's going to be a bit of fun. And then after that tutorial, probably in part 6, we're going to have a look at doing the climbing animation. So we can create some climbing parkour, and he'll climb up boxes and also scurry up the walls and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you guys. Thanks for checking out the tutorial and supporting me and the site. Our Filmstorm site is doing really well. I'm going to start to put some more paid content, so it'll be great if we can get some more supporters that will do some paid products. But for now, it's been Kieran Fsf for Filmstorm Studios, and I'll catch you next time.